come with me literally nowhere. Ooh, I'm so excited. This is something that I stumbled upon today because I was looking up this TikTok challenge because like it spammed me about joining this TikTok challenge. And I was like, oh, museums, that's cool. I've been to plenty. But I was like, oh my God. And you could do a come with me and not have to go anywhere. You bet you have no idea what I'm talking about. But like, let's say you can't get to the Smithsonian to see the woolly mammoth fossil. Do you know what you can do? I don't think you do. Or if you can't get to London to see the Trepan skull, which is like that ancient skull that has the hole drilled into it from ancient brain surgery, do you know what you can do? Even NASA is in on the game, right? And you can pull things from NASA, like a mini Mars rover if you wanted to. And do you know what you could do? You could 3D print it for free. They give these files out for free. The Smithsonian, the Met, all of these crazy museums across the world release the free 3D files because they 3D scan them in the museums, and then they have the 3D file anyway. So they're just like open sourcing it, and you can go and grab it and download it. And talk about worlds freaking colliding accidentally today. I'm a nurse who's also really obsessed with like medical lore and like weird medical things and facts. Like, you know, I've read so many good books on this, including a museum that I want to go visit in Pennsylvania that I can probably do. But when I was looking at this, do you know what popped up that you could download? I'm going to give you the lore of it first and see if you can figure it out by the end, because it's just so cool. And it's so exciting that I could potentially 3D print this. So before 1816, if your doctor wanted to listen to your heart or your lungs, they had to press his bare ear against your bare chest. And that was it. That's how they listened to your heart, and that's how they listened to your lungs. Doctors like literally kept handkerchiefs on hand so that they could do it with like protection in between. So enter Rene Laennec, and he's born in Brittany, France in 1781, and he unfortunately lost his mother to tuberculosis when he was only 5 years old. And historians say, and they believe, that that's what drove him to become a dedicated physician, and that's why he went into medicine. And he studied in Paris, and he studied under the most elite physicians of his time, including under Napoleon's own doctor. And he became one of the most gifted diagnostic minds of the generation. By 1816, he was the chief physician at Necker Hospital in Paris, France. And in that fall, he was called in to examine a patient, a young woman, because I'm her age, a 40-year-old woman named Marie Melanie Bassett, and she was presenting with shortness of breath and other symptoms of heart disease. And pressing her ear against her chest was, in his own words, rendered inadmissible by the age and the sex of the patient. So he thought it was completely inappropriate to take his bare ear and put it against her bare bosom. So his brain, because he's so smart, his brain decided to go somewhere else entirely, and he remembered an acoustic trick that he knew, which was the way that sound travels through a solid, through objects, right? And that children playing with hollow logs, you could scratch one end and you could hear it at the other end. So he grabbed a sheet of paper and he rolled it tight into a cylinder, and he pressed one side on her chest and one side on his ear. And in his own words, a couple of years later, he said that, you know, he wasn't even a little bit surprised at this, and he was so pleased to find that you could hear the heartbeat, because when he did this, he heard the heartbeat clearer, louder, you know, better than he had ever heard before with just using his bare ears. It really amplified it. And he wrote a book called On Mediate Auscultation, which is just meaning like to listen through an instrument versus with your own like bare ear. And so that night that he discovered this, right before he wrote his book, he discovers, oh my gosh, I can listen to this the heart and the lungs this way. He went home and he had a wood lathe, because of course he did, and he was a gifted wood turner, as they say. And he decided to build a permanent version of his little rolled up hollow cylinder. And so he took out a piece of wood and he hollowed it out into a cylinder, and it was like roughly 12 inches long and about 1.5 inches wide. And he put a brass insert in it and a funnel shaped chess piece. And at the time, fun fact, you could buy one for 2 francs alongside his book that he published, like waiting in the side hustle, bro. And what did he call it? A stethoscope. And it was from the Greek, 2 Greek words that meant chest and to observe. And so he actually, supposedly, this is lore, he actually hated naming it, and he preferred to call it simply the cylinder. He thought that naming such a fundamental instrument was completely unnecessary, that it was just going to be used every day anyway. And he was 100% right. People still use them today. But here's where it sort of gets very heartbreaking. Laennec spent the rest of his career using his stethoscope discovery to study and describe tuberculosis, the disease that took his mom, which is why historians believe he got into it. And he became the world's foremost expert on it. He was able to begin to describe lung sounds that we still say today when we're listening to lung sounds. It's so exciting. And so in 1826, at just 45, he unfortunately succumbed to tuberculosis, the disease that he was studying. He wound up catching it and he passed away. And before he died, though, he made sure to say and, write down that the stethoscope was the greatest legacy of his life. Why does this have to do with 3D printing and not come with me? It's because the original stethoscope that he turned in his own wood lathe at home is sitting in the Museum of History of Medicine in Paris, France. And there's a second one that lives somewhere else, at the university, I think, that he attended in his hometown. But I don't think I'm ever going to stand in front of either. So I'm never going to be able to do a come with me. So I'm downloading the print file and I'm going to print it and I'm going to see if it works, because also these are artifacts. You can't touch them. Yeah, obviously. And to 3D print it means that I can pick it up and feel it and see it. I doubt it will actually work. Maybe I'll have some people in my family volunteer to be my people, and I'll see if it works. But I mean, how cool is that? I can print it and I can feel it and see it. And a stethoscope, unlike a woolly mammoth fossil, which obviously I couldn't print to scale, I could print this to scale, so it'll feel just like the thing that he did. I'm so excited about this. So come with me tomorrow to see if I am successful with printing something at a museum that I'm never going to be able to do a come with. And there's 2 other artifacts that I'm really, really interested, that I also stumbled upon, that they have the 3D print files for. I mean, anybody can do a fossil, but if you know me, you know that they have death masks from the Smithsonian. And I really want to do those. I know, it's just who I am. So come back tomorrow to see if I am successful at printing my replica of the first stethoscope. It's so exciting. And come and see if I can figure out how to do those other 2 things that I'm super excited about. So kind of a different video for today, and not really a come with me or 3D printing, kind of a meld. But what do you think? How cool is that, right? I don't know. I think it's awesome.